The various works of Stephen King have been adapted into movies and television for more than 50 years, but one novel that would be cheap to produce has never been attempted. One of King's few non-horror books has been considered before, and rumors of a television show version of The Eyes of the Dragon were shut down as recently as 2020. The lack of a movie or TV adaptation is particularly peculiar considering the fact that the 1984 novel could be adapted for a relatively low cost compared to other King novels. Stephen King himself has criticized many adaptations over the years, but The Eyes of the Dragon has a lot of potential for success given the nature of its content. Given the widespread embrace of the epic fantasy genre in recent years, The Eyes of the Dragon could find a highly receptive modern audience. The main key to getting the show made won't be its potential audience, however, it will likely be how cheaply the show can be made. The Eyes of the Dragon was an ambitious experiment by Stephen King. King tried his hand at epic fantasy, a genre he had never attempted before. By the time The Eyes of the Dragon was released in 1984, King had already gained notoriety as one of the premier horror authors working. Therefore, pivoting into epic fantasy represented a major risk for King's career. The Eyes of the Dragon was originally written as a novel for children, and while it was well received by critics, fans largely rejected the novel for its lack of horror elements. The novel takes place in the realm of Deline, which ties in directly as a location mentioned in King's Dark Tower saga. The story follows a plot against King Roland, the ruler of Deline, carried out by Randall Flagg, the King's magician. The multidimensional Flagg appears in other King works under different names, including The Stand, the Dark Tower series, and Hearts in Atlantis. Some of King's greatest novels, including the novels of his magnum opus The Dark Tower, are not considered horror, but The Eyes of the Dragon was the first time King truly rolled the dice on fantasy. The single location setting would make it cheaper to adapt than other fantasy books. The well-crafted story would carry the movie as opposed to massive set pieces or battles. The Man in Black, Randall Flagg, and Martin Broadcloak in Stephen King's Dark Tower. A TV or movie adaptation of The Eyes of the Dragon would be easier and cheaper to produce than other fantasy books thanks to its single location setting. The action takes place almost entirely within the walls of King Roland's castle, and is driven by strong character work, subterfuge, and scheming. There are no massive battles, dragons or huge set pieces to contend with, so the CGI and graphics work would be minimal. While he is the villain, the evil and charismatic Randall Flagg would likely be the star of an adaptation, and would likely attract the biggest star actor of the show or movie. Costs for the cast would likely be the most expensive part of the adaptation, making it a very affordable project for a studio or streaming platform to tackle. The Eyes of the Dragon might not be the most popular Stephen King novel to adapt, but it can be done cheaply and successfully with the right support behind it.